This is a public call from me to the Chief Justice. Say Kibuma Salika. Now I hope in good time this public call on Facebook, on my People's Anti-Corruption Movement page, gets to your attention. Or if somebody's seeing this, they should take it to you as the Chief Justice of Papua New Guinea. Now, many people have not had a brush with the law with people like yourself as in your capacity as a judge, a deputy Chief Justice, and now Chief Justice. But I've had a brush with you in your capacity as Deputy Chief Justice and also the public prosecutor, the current public prosecutor, Ms. Roa Lakina. Chief Justice, let me take you to refresh your memory to the case between State and Stanley Haru. I was the chief complainant as public officer and acting president at that point in time when Stanley Haru and his wife at that time had falsified documents stating that they were authorized by the Corner Tigers Club to dispose of the property. And they had conspired with a guy in the real estate industry who was also the broker or the realtor, the real estate guy who was also a director in the company called Benton Limited, which purchased the property. I had obtained the first summons on the 19th of November 2008, which never saw the daylight. I mean, it never appeared, this matter was never brought before a judge. The file was removed in the courthouse. Anyhow, eventually, I had, in 2018, luckily when Facebook came about in 2012, I had posted on Facebook that I would get a summons for you to deliberate on the matter, on the criminal matter between Stanley police and the Stanley Haru. It had taken a very long time. And in May, say, give Salika, you need to pay attention, because the court is not your private court. And I would tell you straight in the face that you have abused your discretion on so many cases, including this particular case. So we had prepared for trial, and we were supposed to have a roundtable conference with the public prosecutor, who was the current public prosecutor, Ms. Roa Lakina. If the public prosecutor was watching me, you got to be told of that you are Office of Public Trust. It's not something that you can use your discretion as you did in relieving the Chief Justice from his referral for misconduct by the Ombudsman Commission. Now, say, give Salika, in your concluding remarks, you had written me off as a busybody. And it was unbecoming, really unbecoming of a learned man in law. In other words, you were saying I did not have locus standi. How could I complain against somebody if I didn't have locus standi, and how could the police act on my complaint? And how could I stand before the court of law as an imposter. At that material point in time, I was the public officer to Kone Tigers Rugby League Club and president, because Stanley Aru had run away to Australia with his wife. And we had a meeting on the 18th of July, and I was appointed. All those records were put in front of your nose. And yet, Gibbs Salika, you should just resign. You're a disgrace to the legal fraternity. You deliberately nullified my standing as a legal, as a person with legal standing, and you had disregarded my complaint, and you had failed. You had failed miserably in restoring the title as is dictated by law. If fraud is established in any case, in any land title, it states clearly in the Land Act that the title reverts back to the owner. You never stated that. You gave your opinion, which means that you did not make any ruling according to law. You started to give your opinion, and you should be ashamed. Chief Justice, you should really be ashamed of yourself. Since 2008 until now, 2026, this matter has never rested because of your foolishness in not reading the law as is defined. Any land that is disputed and obtained by fraud returns to the original owner. And the Land Act is very clear on it. Because of your foolishness, you have been compromised. And we have fought this lengthy battle for almost 17 plus years. Now, Public Prosecutor Roel Akina, you must know, you never gave us the chance to hold a public meeting. Instead, you ran away to Australia. Now, we were fighting a company, a subsidiary company owned by Ribuna Rijau. And to this day, we are still fighting. So I don't see any utility in Gibbs Salika remaining as a Chief Justice. This is one case, but let me take you back to the Paul Tienston case. Paul Tienston scribbled a footnote, and Gibbs Salika, you must know very well. A footnote does not have any legal authority. In any claim paid by the Department of Finance is the Section 232 officer, which is the secretary or his delegate. And Paul Tienston was never a Section 32 officer as far as we are concerned. He may be a minister. But even his footnote or his written instructions do not carry weight. And yet, you chose to abuse your position and use your discretion in sending him to jail for 9 years. You're not even ashamed of that, Chief Justice. This is not your private court. This is not Gibuma Salika Pty Limited, no. This is the court of justice, the People's Court of Justice. So, now you compare the sentence you imposed on the member for Paul Tienston, and you compare your position. You had brushed away all the judges and you wanted to preside over the James Marape, Paul Paraka case. When James Marape, in his capacity as Minister of Finance, had written multiple instructions signed by him as minister, knowing very well there's no ignorance on his powers, knowing very well that he didn't have the powers. Now, say, Gibbs Salika, you may think that people are not watching you, but I'll tell you straight in the face, you ought to resign. Or if not, you should be charged for misconduct immediately, because you are applying double standards here, using your discretion. And that is a very foolish act, because you have not acted according to the rule of evidence. The rule of evidence is anything that's presented to you that is convincing that a crime has been committed. James Marape has committed a crime with the secretary and the assistant secretary and all who were involved in making an unlawful payment because he signed instructions and we do not know what else he said verbally. He may have threatened the secretary, but he had given instructions and you never dragged him before the court. So you have no utility, you have no purpose in being Chief Justice. You ought to resign immediately or you should be charged for misconduct in office. You need, if you're not watching, I want somebody to play to you. Your conscience is dead, say Gift Salika, and therefore you should disappear. Just resign and get out of there. Let somebody else who's more credible with integrity to head the judiciary. Thank you for watching me. Mohamed John Ndemongo Kua, President and Public Officer of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement. Now, I have locus standi to prosecute people as per the laws of this country. And I want you to take note of that.